Ladies and gentlemen, your taxes have been funding this nonsense. Ashamed of nothing, offended by everything, contribute nothing but entitled to everything. This is the current story of the majority of the South African youth, just like the majority of the people that they look up to. It is no wonder that the majority vote the way that they do.
Sichisile -1 Chalena admin. Wow, students, you are dope, guys. Izaqothwa 40. Hawu seqothwa sizofunda ngo-2029. I swear.
Great things built by the wise in the past will be destroyed by fools who cannot match their greatness today.
Students at the University of Fort Hare have vowed to continue their protests. That's despite being evicted from campus. The university has indefinitely closed 2 campuses after several buildings were set on fire amid allegations of misgovernance.
Students burning buildings, And adults, instead of taking charge of the situation, give in to negotiate with these terrorists.
Higher education officials are scheduled to meet with student political leaders today.
Top education officials are going to meet with the student political leaders. Why does this happen? Because the ANC and its babies, aka the EFF, MK, and others, are causing chaos in our schools. These lunatics are running the schools now, and the rest of us are acting as if it's fine. We're watching them hand over influence to student groups that are radicalizing young people, that are intimidating lecturers and pushing a mindset that rights come without responsibility. And somehow we all just quiet. Where's the urgency? Where's the movement to push back with truth, with discipline, and with values that build and not destroy? If we can't come together to challenge the lies, the manipulation, and destruction happening in our campuses, then what are we even doing? Universities like Fort Hare are literally burning because of a breakdown in discipline. And no, saying those aren't my children doesn't cut it, because their actions will affect your children's education. They'll affect your community and your tax money. You are involved whether you like it or not. So let's stop looking away and start speaking up, countering the lies and the chaos with truth and purpose before it is too late. Fort Hare is a university that was built for the sole purpose of educating the Black people of Africa. It was a dream come true of James Stewart, a missionary principal of Loveday Missionary Institute in the 1870s. He suggested that a school for Black higher learning be built. Now, for all you Black and white racists watching, that is a white man wanting something good for Black people way before your fellow racists instituted apartheid decades later. There were men and women who established institutions of learning solely to benefit Black people. Even though James Stewart never got to see his wishes come to life, in 1916, with Alexandra Keir as its first principal, a very well-educated Black man named D.D.T. Jabavu was the first employee of Fort Hare. He was not employed as a janitor or a gardener or a cook. He was the first lecturer at the university. Not only that, he is also the first Black lecturer in Africa. These are the type of people who embody genuine Black excellence, the type of people we should all be celebrating and looking up to. Not the fake revolutionaries who are currently negatively influencing university students. In addition to being a well-educated lecturer, Davidson Tengu Jabavu was also a politician and the founder of the All-African Convention. He was a son of John Tengu Jabavu, a political activist, newspaper editor, and writer. DDT Jabavu's wife, Thandiswa Florence Magiwane, was the founder of Zenzele Women's Self-Improvement Association. Zenzele means do it for yourself. Again, we see signs of self-empowerment and not the victim and dependent mindset being drilled into Fort Hare and other students today. Thandiswa's sister was Cecilia Makiwane, the first African registered professional nurse in South Africa. Now, wouldn't you like to be in such company instead of the company of fake revolutionaries? Guess what? DDT Jabavu's daughter, Nontando Jabavu, was not a housekeeper for white people. She was a writer, a journalist, and an editor. She's the first Black South African woman to publish books of autobiographies, and she became the first African woman to be the editor of a British literary magazine. All of this is not BEE at work, my friends. It is true empowerment through excellence. And we have many such individuals and stories, both in history and in modern times, that we all can be inspired by. The first lecturer at Fort Hare University, Davidson Tengu Jabavu, was groomed and influenced by such a father. He married such a woman, and he raised such a daughter. Today, however, the students at Fort Hare University are being groomed and influenced by individuals who hold very, very different views, destructive and disempowering views. These are the role models that South Africans need, not these fake revolutionaries. These are the role models that bring about positive change, the type of change that we need to see in South Africa. So let's all tell our children, our neighbors, and our colleagues about them. Professor Jabavu, in his lecturing at Fort Hare University, was there to see many Black young future leaders come and go. Some of the leaders that were educated at Fort Hare are Nelson Mandela, Govan Mbeki, who was a leader within the ANC, as well as the father of Thabo and Mweletsi Mbeki. Oliver Tambo was also educated there. So were Kenneth Kaunda, a Zambian president, Seretse Kama, the first president of Botswana, Yusuf Lule, the fourth president of Uganda, Julius Nyerere, the first president of Tanzania, Robert Mugabe, the first prime minister and second president of Zimbabwe, Joshua Nkomo, one of the vice presidents of Zimbabwe in the long periods of Mugabe's rule, Hubert Chitepo, a ZANU-PF leader in Zimbabwe. Now, imagine how the people who invested their time and effort into creating Fort Hare University would feel if they were to see what is happening there now. Imagine what Professor DDT Jabavu, Principal Alexandra Kidd, and missionary James Stewart would be thinking and feeling right now. University of Fort Hare is an international heritage site recognized by UNESCO. This is an institution that has been in existence for more than 100 years, ladies and gentlemen. We should hold it as a pearl. We should do what we can to grow it and to treat it with respect and with dignity. Not for UNESCO, but for ourselves, for South Africa, and for South Africans. These are the children that were raised by the ANC of Thabo Mbeki and Jacob Zuma, the ANC of Ramaphosa. These are the children that look up to Julius Malema and Colin Malachi. These are the not God-fearing, law-abiding, critical-thinking, patriotic citizens. Everything they dislike should be faced with violence, chaos, and street protests. They could have chosen to simply sit down and not participate in classes. They could have chosen to stay at home or at rest. They could have chosen to send letters to their lecturers or the university officials. They could have sat down outside the staff room. There are several ways to make sure that your grievances are heard. You are in a university where debates, evidence, as well as sound reasoning are supposed to win the argument. You are in a university where lecturers and presidents are produced. I mean, this is the same institution that produced Nelson Mandela, so what is the problem? Why can't these children produce sound and logical arguments to win their cases? They are now making it seem like a school that trains terrorists, training young people to be members of Hamas or ISIS. Why would a person do this? Why would a person choose to burn the very same place where they are getting tools to get ahead in life? And then you find some fools who try to justify this nonsense with arguments that make it seem like the students did not do this. Whether they are directly responsible for it or not, this is the result of the students' acts. This is the result of their deeds. Just calm down, sit down like an adult and talk your issues out. If you lose, you lose. And if you win, then congratulations.
So far, so good. We are not going to attend this school. We have been united as black students to say that there's no school that's going to go on up until the dean, like I said, says the provincial is cancelled. If she doesn't change her decision by this week, it means maybe our exams will be extended to December, because there's no way we are going to allow her to be pro-white like that, because now what is happening in this campus is it's racism and on a highest level.
This nonsense of students that think that doing and turning everything upside down in a cloud of smoke accompanied by the sound of Julius Malema and Jacob Zuma chants is the lowest form of foolishness in the era that we now live in.
Because now in this protest we don't see any white student, because now the white students are not being affected with this issue. Now it's going to affect them, because now the casualties always have to be dealt by the black person.
In Britain, kids in low-income neighborhoods who want to learn get beaten up by their classmates, because that's regarded as class treachery. Over there, it's class that's the big deal. Here, it's race. But the net result is the same.
We want to condemn the Vice-chancellor from what she's doing. She did it at Stellenbosch, and we want to tell her straightly to her face that this is not Stellenbosch. We will fight for our rights of education. This generation will fight for the next generation, same as the generation of Fees-Masfall did their part. This is our time to do our part as black students.
The way forward now is to say, as students, we mobilize, we stay united like we always do, and make sure that we do not write any exams, we do not sleep, we do not eat if it's a must, because now we do not have money. Like my leader here said, we are being oppressed like our forefathers have been oppressed before. This is a systematic thing to say the black child is not supposed to be on this campus.
Fort Hare is a university that was built for the sole purpose of educating the black people of Africa.
This is a systematic thing to say the black child is not supposed to be on this campus.
Built for the sole purpose of educating the black people of Africa.
So us as student leaders, we are saying the way forward is to stand our ground. Even if we are get arrested in masses, even if it ruins our futures. We are not doing this for us, but we are doing this for the next generations.
If you think that behaving like a comrade is a solution to your problems, then you have bigger problems to deal with, my friends. Fellow citizens, children are children. Manage them. As a wise King Solomon said, foolishness is bound up in the heart of a child. The rod of correction will drive it far from him. If university students act like this, then let the police or the military help them see the light.
Sakela Butlungu has overstayed his welcome. That's the message from students, taxi operators, workers, and the Tikeni community. They want the Fort Hare Vice-chancellor gone, accusing him of ruling with an iron fist. A local ward councillor says Fort Hare should do more to uplift Tikeni and improve lives in the community.
The university cannot disregard altogether. I'm not talking about scarce skills here. I'm talking about general labor, general administrative work, something that doesn't need any sophisticated skills. So when locals come here and seek opportunities, whether it's job opportunities, whether it's business opportunities, they should be given.
The ANC and its babies have given us anarchist young adults, and when they lose their minds, the police are too lazy to show up. These so-called students throw bricks and they burn buildings and infrastructure worth millions.
The 4-day-long protest saw 6 university buildings go up in flames, including the Alice Campus Administrative Building and the Education Faculty Building at the East London campus. The students say the University Council is silencing their voice by appointing an interim SRC instead of a democratically elected student body during the amendment of the Student Governance Constitution. The institution's academic staff are concerned about the loss of academic material worth millions of rands.
In terms of undergraduates, they have practicals they are doing in these labs. And also postgraduates, they have practicals that they are doing in these labs. So in reality, that means that even if they come back, we're going to struggle in making sure that we continue with the practical part. Postgraduate students are depending on the results which have been here and the samples which are been here to get their data.
And how do we deal with them? We use pallets on these people. Where's law enforcement to arrest and make it obvious that this will not be tolerated? They are throwing rocks and bricks. They are burning buildings. These are not students anymore. There's a misconception that everyone who is in an academic institution wants to learn. But as Thomas Sowell puts it here, that is not the case.
Higher education and imperative. All he's asking is that all young Americans should have the same opportunity to get a really good education that Tom Sowell had. Tom?
I love the use of the word opportunity. You know, I had as much opportunity to become an NBA star as Michael Jordan had. It just happens that there was some difference in skill. And so the same thing with education. There is no point trying to run people through institutions that they have very little interest in and that they may not be suited for. In fact, I would argue that one of the problems of American education is you have a lot of people in college who have no interest in what a college is supposed to be, nor is there any reason why they should.
And so
So you water down the education of the people who are there to get an education because of the people who are not there for that purpose.
Makes sense, right? Now, if the Fort Hare problem makers don't see jail time, why should we be surprised that other university students and even high school pupils follow in the footsteps of these lunatics? We already know that many are causing chaos before they even get to university. The fact is, not everyone who goes to school wants to be in school. Some are there to bully others and to beat teachers. They try by all means to kill the teachers or their peers. They try to be relevant through any means necessary. They look up to Sion Bougie and Julius Malema. So why get surprised by that? Fort Hare, UJ, Wits, TUT, and every other university are not a place for you to make demands. These are places you should be learning to be engineers, technicians, or masters of the various industries that exist. And if you're not happy, then just leave the institution. No one is forcing you to be there. They're not there to do whatever you want. These are institutions for passing on knowledge under their own terms. You chose to come to the school, and if it is not to your liking, you should leave instead of behaving like barbarians in civilized institutions. Some people are saying it's because there are crimes being committed in this university. Apparently, people are being raped and murdered on the campus. Others are saying it's regarding a member of the faculty who is too old and should leave the institution.
Part of the grievances that students were raising were even the resignation of the Vice-chancellor. What do you have to say to that?
Well, we actually ran a study just 3 days ago with the students, 900 in a sample, and only 10% of the students want the Vice-chancellor. Between 10 and 12% are saying they're unhappy with the Vice-chancellor.
When did that happen?
It was a study that was run on Tuesday afternoon between 5 and 7.
Online?
With online, it was distributed SMSs to all students registered postgraduate and undergraduate. So we know that the VC Must Go campaign is being driven externally. Students, only 10%, between 10 and 12% believe that the VC must resign. We have the empirical data.
Others are saying it's a university imposing an interim SRC of their choosing while they wait for the student governance constitution to be finalized.
So talk to us about your grievances then. Key among them, we've been hearing about the status of SRC elections, but we're also hearing about issues of the contract of the Vice-chancellor. Why do you want the Vice-chancellor gone? Let's start there.
There are many reasons, but entirely amongst those, it's mainly 2 reasons, but there are many. I will highlight 2 reasons. One, the extension of the Vice-chancellor's term, both retirement was unlawful and unprocedural. How? You see, the university statute is clear. When there is a reappointment of the university vice-chancellor, it has to go to some certain structures of the university. I will count 3 structures. The first one is institutional forum called IF. The second one is called Senate. Then the last one is called the University Council. Now, the extension of the Vice-Chancellor's term post-retirement did not go to the IF, did not go to the Senate. I myself, last year, I was the president of the SRC of the University of Fort Hare, and I did serve in those meetings. I can attest now that extension of the term never came to us as IF members, never came to us as Senate members. It only went to the council, and the decision there was not to vote. Instead, it was a unanimous decision taken by council. The second issue is that the vice-chancellor has exceeded the retirement age. The statute and the HR policy of the university is clear, saying that each worker or each employee, when he or she reaches 65, that person needs to retire. We have seen that with the deputy vice-chancellor, former deputy vice-chancellor of the current VC, Proffessor. When she reached 65, she had to retire, but then the current VC is over 65. He turned 65 this year on the 12th of September. Now he wants his term to end in 2027, of which he will long have passed 65.
Right.
And of course, many of other issues among these two are that the Vice-Chancellor has been victimizing students and workers through unlawful suspensions.
All right.
Even if those are all legitimate claims and concerns, should we all burn houses that we live in now? That is the most backward and destructive thing that you can do for your cause. I mean, once your claims and your concerns are resolved, then what? Then what? We must start rebuilding something that was built in 1916. Does that make sense to you? Does that sound productive to you?
But how much responsibility do you as a student leadership and student body that was participating in the strike action take for that destruction that we saw?
Of course, as student leaders, we condemn the destruction and the burning of university building with highest terms. But then it's not students who then banned such buildings. If you notice on some of the videos that are circulating on social media, the tools and equipment that the private security and the police that they were using to disperse a crowd, they were using very dangerous tools. Also, they were using some things like missiles that were being launched with ashes and with burning to dispute students. So we as student leaders, there are no students who were then found to have banned the building. Because as students, we cannot ban critical buildings like admin building, like student affairs building. The aim of the protest was to bring the university into standstill and into shutdown, and that happened, not to ban the university building. That one we condemn and strong term, and we demand investigation. So those who then banned such buildings must be held accountable.
So you're saying any finger that points at you is wrong in pointing at you. It's just sheer coincidence that you were on strike as a student body and buildings are engulfed by flames.
Okay, thank you very much. What we observed is that some of the buildings that burned, including the agricultural building, we saw them just burning from the top floor. So it is unusual that the building will just burn from the top floor, but the building is then closed. And also with the disturbing videos and that are circulating that we saw, the things that I'm talking about, that the police, not necessarily only the security, like the SAPS that was deployed on campus, including the private security. Yes, the building that just showed there, they were burning from the top, and they were burning missiles that were like crickets that were being shot, used by the police to disperse the crowd.
Now, the students want to tell us that they didn't burn the buildings. Do you believe them? Why should you believe them? I mean, look at them here. Look at them here. How is whatever they are doing here different from burning the buildings? If you can do this in broad daylight, what stops you from burning buildings during the night? And even if you didn't personally set the buildings on fire, if you encourage and enjoy chaos, you also attract more people who also love chaos. Some who may love it even more than you. Such people will come and use your low-grade chaos for their own higher-grade chaos. And who suffers then? You and your entire cause. Look, I don't want to be taken advantage of by strangers, right? So I don't hang out with strangers. I don't go out with strangers. I don't walk around the streets with strangers. I don't go to strange locations during the day or night. I don't reveal my possessions or myself in public, inviting sick people to want what I have. If I don't follow these simple principles, then I should not be shocked if people take advantage of me and my things. In like manner, if you create an environment suitable for sick weirdos to live out their strange fantasies, do not be shocked when they actually do it. You are the problem. So when people end up using your protest for their own agenda, don't act like you had nothing to do with it. Let strangers steal you or your stuff from your home. Let them break in and then you can complain. Let them burn those buildings when you didn't give them a chance. Instead, you created an environment suitable for those people to do what they did, so do not act like you're innocent. Whether you set the fire yourself or not, you're to blame for the fire. Pure and simple. But you see, accountability is not something such individuals have been taught. Rights over responsibility. God forbid, instead of accountability, a few years and some of these same irresponsible, irrational, and unpatriotic individuals will be in parliament telling us that they are politicians and activists, much like Naledi Chirwa and Colin Malachi. Fellow citizens, please let's come together to challenge the current status quo on our university campuses. Let's stop the rise of empty heads that know nothing but to doi and accuse everyone else of doing them wrong. Great things built by the wise in the past are destroyed by fools who cannot match their greatness today. Maybe we should put that on a t-shirt. Anyway, that's it for today. Please share this video far and wide to show our fellow citizens the difference between great and horrible role models and to inform the misinformed. Remember that they may not be your children, but their actions will definitely affect your children's education, your community, and your tax money. Help us counter the lies and chaos with truth and purpose before it is too late. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Katlego. This is Citizen Concerned. And until next time, beware of the comrades.